instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasdeva. Text 1. Should I read in continuation or it will be break?
Mataji in Sanskrit, and then Sunita Mataji will recite in English, and Sanskrit and English, and it will be that way.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Text 1. Sutavacha atatam sukhamasina upasinam vichriva devrishi prahar viprisham veena pani samanyaga. Text 2. Narad Parasharya Mahabhaga Bhavata Kajitatmana Paritushyati Sharira Atma Manasevava.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we will have to request Sunita Mataji to please recite the English translation.
Okay, Mataji. Should I read now or she will?
It will be Sunita Mataji who will recite in English. Thank you. Sunita
Yes,
Mataji, are you there? Hare Krishna, Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna, Sunita Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, it was muted.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. If you can please start with the verse 1 English translation. Thank you.
Text 1, Sutta Goswami said, thus the sage and apparently smiling addressed the rishi amongst the Brahmanas, Vyasadeva. Text 2. Addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Narad inquired, are you satisfied by identifying with the body?
To do the sons
as objects of self-realization. Can Mataji read in Sanskrit text 3, please?
Yes, Mataji. Text 3. Jigyasitam susampanamapi te mahatatputam kritavan bharatam rasam sarvartham paribramhitam.
Hare Krishna, Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I didn't heard the Sanskrit one, text 3.
Yes, she's Mataji's just recited the third verse.
Okay, thank you. Your inquiries were full and your studies were also well fulfilled. And there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequences elaborately explained.
Text 4. Jigyasitam adhitam cha brahma jatat sanatanam tathapi shochasyatmanam akritarthaiva prabhu.
Text 4. You have fully discerned the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be in spite of all this, thinking they are undone and my dear Prabhu?
Text 5. Vyasa vacha aste me sarvavidam te udoktam tathapi natma paritushyate me tanmulma badhyam agata bodham prachamahe tvatma bhavata bhutam.
Shri Vyasadeva said, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I am therefore questioning you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction, for you are a man of unlimited knowledge due to your being the offspring of one Brahma who is self-born without mundane father and mother.
Text 6. Savai bhavan veda samast guhyam upasito yat purusha purana paravaresho manaseva vishwam सृजत्यवत्यति गुणैरसङ्गः.
My Lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature.
Text 7. Tom पर्यटन नरकिव त्रिलोकीम् अनश्चरो वायुरिवात्मसाक्षी परावरे ब्राह्मणे धर्मतो वृत्तः सनातस्य मे न्यूनमलं विचक्ष्वा.
Like the sun, your goodness can travel anywhere in the three worlds, and like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive supersoul. Please, therefore, find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows.
Text 8. Shri Narad Vacha भवतानोदितप्रायं यशो भगवतो मलं येन वासो न तुष्येत मन्येत दर्शनमखिलम्.
Sri Narad said, "You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental sense of the Lord is considered worthless."
Text 9. यथा धर्मदश्चार्था मुनिवर्यानुकीर्तितः नाथता वासुदेवस्य महिमा हयनुवर्णितः.
Although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with the religious performances. You have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality, Vasudeva.
Text 10. नायत्वचित्रपदं हरेशो जगत्वित्रं प्रगृह्णीति कर्हिचित् तद्वायसं तीर्थमुशन्ति मानसा नायत्र हंसा निर्मन्त्यु शिक्षयाः.
Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly person to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasures there.
Text 11. तद्वाग् विसर्गो जनताग् विपल्वो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अभद्वत्यपति नामान्यन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः.
On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest.
Text 12. नैष्कर्म्यापि अच्युता भाववर्जितं नाशोभते ज्ञानमलमनिरञ्जनं कुतः पुनः शश्वद भद्रमीश्वरे नाचार्पितं कर्म यदपयकारणम्.
Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord?
Text 13. अथो महाभाग भवान् मोक्त्रिक शुचिश्रवा सत्यरतो धृतव्रतः उरुक्रमस्याखिल बन्धनमुक्तये समाधिनानुस्मर तद्विष्टेष्टितम्.
Oh Vyasdev, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness, and thus you can think of the pastime of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in journal from all material bondage.
Text 14. ततोऽन्यथा किञ्चन यद्विवक्षतः पृथक् कृतरूपनाम्भिः न करिचित् क्वापि च दुःस्थिता मतिर्लभेत वाताहतनोरिवासपदम्.
Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place.
Text 15. जुगुप्स्तं धर्मकृतेऽनुशास्तः स्वभावरक्तस्य महान् व्यतिक्रमः यद्वाक्यतो धर्म इति तरः स्थितो न मन्यते तस्य निवारणं जनः.
The people in Germany are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable, because they are guided under your instructions. They will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions.
Text 16. विचक्षणोऽस्यार्हति वेदितुं विभोर् अनन्तपारस्य तथा सुखम् परिवर्तमानस्य गुणैर्नात्मनस् ततो भवान् दर्श्यात् चेष्टितं विभोः.
The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness through your descriptions of transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord.
Text 17. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मचरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजनं पक्वोऽथ पतेत तो यदि यत्र कव वा भद्रम् अभूतममुष्य किं को वार्त आप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मतः.
One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of this being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything.
Text 18. तस्यैव हेतोः प्रथेत कोविदो न लभ्यते यद् भ्रमताम् उपधार्याः. sorry. तस्यैव हेतोः प्रथेत कोविदो न लभ्यते यद् भ्रमतामुपरेधः तल्लभ्यते दुःखवदन्यतः सुखं कालेन सर्वत्र गंभीररहंसा.
Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planets Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Patal. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is considered, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them.
Text 19. ना वैजनो जातु कथं नाव्रजेन मुकुंद सेव्यन वदंग संसृतम स्मरन मुकुंदाग्रे उपगुह्यनम पुनर् विहातुमिच्छेन रसग्रहो जनः.
My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again.
Text 20. Idam hi vishwam bhagavani vetro yato jagasthana nirodha sambhavaha tadhi swayam veda bhavans tathapi te pradesha matram bhavata pradarshitam.
The Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is Himself this cosmos, and still He is aloof from it. From Him only has this cosmic manifestation animated. In Him it rests, and onto Him it enters after annihilation. Your good self knows all about this. I have given only a synopsis.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, and kindly forgive me if I have made some mistakes during the citation. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Please forgive my mistakes too. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Manu Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I've made you host now.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiriye. Shratam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantusto Bhadrani Vidinoti Suhetsatam Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we are studying from chapter 5th of Canto 1 and verse number is 4. Jigyasitam adhitamucha brahmyat tat sanatanam tathapi sochashyatmanam akartarthaiva prabho. Jignasitam adhitam cha brahmyat tat sanatanam tathapi sochasi atmanam kritartha eva prabho. Jignasitam adhitam cha brahmayat sanatanam tathapi sochasi atmanam akartarthai prabho. Jignasitam, deliberated fully well. Adhitam, knowledge obtained. Cha, and Brahma, the absolute. Yat, what? Tat, that. Sanatanam, eternal. Tathapi, in spite of that. Sochasi, lamenting. Atmanam, unto the self. Akrit, artha, undone. If, like, Prabhu, my dear sir. Translation. We have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? Purport by Divine Dev Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Vijay. The Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra, compiled by Sri Vyasadeva, is the full deliberation of the impersonal absolute future. It is accepted as the most exalted philosophical exposition in the world. It covers the subject of eternity, and the methods are scholarly. So there cannot be any doubt about the transcendental scholarship of Vyasadeva. So why should he lament? Om Jnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarupashcha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Bhagavatam 154 Jignasitam adhitam cha brahmayat sanatanam tathapi sochasi atmanamaktatathaiva Prabhu. You fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? This is a very emotional and very, very crucial moment when Srila Vyasadeva is getting darshan of his Guru Maharaj. This moment is very auspicious for any disciple, especially disciples who are in disciplic succession trying to follow the orders of the spiritual master. A spiritual master is the representative of the Lord, and he's also the manifested representation of the supersoul in the heart. And that's the way an individual or a soul or a devotee is able to interact with the Lord in the form of spiritual master. Therefore, spiritual master is worshipped as good as God. But Prabhupada did emphasize that spiritual master is not God. A spiritual master is servant of the God. One who says that he is God is not a God, but he is as good as dog. But that's what Srila Prabhupada used to tell. A spiritual master can't say aham brahmasmi, means I am God. One can be servant of God, but not God himself. The supreme truth can be realized in three forms: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdate. He's the same absolute truth, but same absolute truth can be realized as Brahman realization, which means he's an effulgence coming out from the body of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that effulgence is called Brahma Jyoti, which is which is spread all over the spiritual world, Brahman Jyoti. Before one enters into Vaikuntha planets, one would encounter Brahman Jyoti, which is very, very beautiful, very serene, it is where there is no impact of the modes of material nature, such as mode of goodness, mode of ignorance, mode of passion. Is beyond the modes. It is Shuddha Sattva, but that's all about it. So one gets relief from the modes of nature, which means the first resultant aspect of the modes of nature is this body. This material body is nothing but the gift of the modes of nature, gift of the material nature, bases the mentality of the living entity. If the living entity has so many mentalities, basis that 8.4 million species, 84 lakh yoni has been created by the modes of nature, material nature. So which means that one who is beyond modes of nature is certainly beyond the concept of body. He certainly knows for sure and is living in the realization that he is not this body. He is Atma. And that Atma, when realizes Brahman, he comes to the Brahma Bhuta platform. On this, Srila Prabhupada often quoted this verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na sochati na kankshati, tamha sarveshu bhuteshu, madbhakte lavate param. The one would get relief from all kinds of anxieties, na sochati na kankshati, all types of anchoring, and one would be situated in the Brahman. So that is Brahman realization. One will be situated in the Brahman. So no more pleasures of this world, which are conceived through the bodily concept of life, through the senses, and no more unhappiness or distress of this world, which is also experienced by the senses and the mind, which is impurified. So Brahmeti, Paramateti. Then the second realization is that God is present in everybody's heart, and He has a form. That form is four-handed Vishnu form, and this four-handed Vishnu form is always acting as a witness, Sakshi Gopal, if you've heard of that. Beautiful pastimes of the Lord. Witness of the living entity is constantly witnessing the seated in the heart. Hriday sannivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam. Saying sarvasya chaham hriday sannivishto. Krishna is saying, I am present in the heart of every living entity. Hriday sannivishto. He is present in the heart of all living entities. How is he present? He is present in the form of four-armed Vishnu, and he is seated in the heart. And that heart, that's called Chaitya Guru. And the personified form of that super soul, it's called super soul, is supreme, so is the spiritual master. So in that sense, we all can say that we all have some sort of Paramatma realization, because we are directly interacting with the spiritual master, and he is nobody but the expansion of the Chaitya Guru, of the Supreme Lord present in the heart. So this is very beautiful relationship, because the Lord, because he loves us truly, he's not interfering in our freedom and letting us do what we want to do, but he's present there, and he's giving us intelligence, he's giving us knowledge, he's giving us forgetfulness, he's giving us jnanam apohanam, sarvasya cham hriday samanishtam matah smritir. He's giving us intelligence, he's giving us remembrance, matah smritir, jnanam, knowledge, apohanam, forgetfulness. That's what he's saying in Bhagavad Gita. So that is Paramatma realization. One who gets this realization that Lord is present in everybody's heart, he's able to see everybody with equal vision. Panditaha samdarshaniya. and he's able to see everybody with equal vision. And thereafter, the third realization is the Bhagwan realization. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything is emanating. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam. Iti matva bhajante mam. So Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Everything is emanating from me. I'm the cause of all that exists. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta smritir. Matta, from me, everything is emanating. So this way we can see that how Krishna is the cause of all causes. Ishwar Paramaha Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Etahachamsa Kalapamsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the Shastra is aiming at this one point, that Supreme Personality of Godhead or Bhagavan realization, a person who has all the six opulences and that too in full. Nobody has all those opulences. That is Bhagavan realization. So here in this conversation, Narad Muni is saying to Vyasadeva that you have given complete knowledge about impersonal Brahman, as well as whatever knowledge that can be derived from there. In this particular context, I'm referring to this book, Unveiling the Lotus Feet by His Grace Borishan Prabhu. It is a very important point he has mentioned, and I'll just read through this. In his Priti Sandarbha Anuched 1, commentary on text 4 of chapter 5, canto 1, Jeev Goswami writes that mere Brahman realization, as Vyasadeva had achieved and described in his books, cannot satisfy the soul. The soul's true need is love, priti, direct perception of Bhagavan, who appears as Paramatma and many other forms, is the highest kind of liberation. In that highest liberation, the most exalted spiritual activities are known by the names Bhakti, devotional service, and Priti is spiritual love. Spiritual love is considered the highest of all spiritual sentiments. Priti, which means love, eradicates all suffering. Without Priti, it is not possible to attain the highest stage of spiritual life. Priti is not dependent on anything else. To the extent that we have Priti, we are fortunate. Priti is present as we make progress towards liberation. It is also present when we have attained liberation. That is the correct understanding. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental bliss. Transcendental bliss is the abode of Priti. Priti is most important in the experience of transcendental bliss. Therefore, a spirit soul should always try to attain Priti, love of God. Priti is the greatest need, the highest goal of all spiritual souls. So this is a statement written by Srila Jeev Goswami on this particular text as a commentary in his book called as Priti Sandarbha, in which there is chapter which is Anuched 1. So highlighting thing here is, without love of God, it is not possible to attain the highest stage of spiritual life. And love of God is not dependent on anything else but the devotional service. So this is the point. And we know from previous verses and chapter and further when we read that how Srila Narad Dev, who is a transcendental traveler, who has free will to go anywhere as he wants, whenever he wants, he can travel. and therefore he is also fully knowledgeable in the science of devotion, because he has already perfected his life in that science. So he is now kind, and Vyasdev is his disciple. Srila Vyasadev and Narad Muni, they are two exalted personalities. And we discussed some time ago that this particular Vyasadev is definitely a post, but he's not a living entity of this world. He is Swam Bhagavan Krishna, who is playing the role of Vyasadeva. So now we can imagine a devotee who is Narad Muni, who is Deva Rishi, and his disciple, who is Lord himself. They're having this very, very high level, confidential conversation, which is not accessible to everybody and anybody. This conversation has been made accessible to us. But again, the qualification to understand this subject matter is devotion. Of course, we are doing an oral reception, but devotional oral reception is required to understand this subject matter. So in this context, I was meditating upon the fact that Priti, love of God, and how can one experience it? How can one get the glimpse of this? Because if one does not get that, even Vyasadeva is not feeling very satisfied. He has written everything, Vedanta philosophy and Brahman realization, but he is not feeling satisfied because he has not yet spoken about pure devotion service, which can even attract God, which can capture the uncapturable, which can bind someone who cannot be bound, which can attract this amazing, most attractive personality. So I was reading, I was there in His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj's Tirabhav Devas yesterday, and a very beautiful pastime of Sanatan Goswami was picked up by Swam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, describing all the Vaishnava etiquettes. And I was reading through that today again. And I was seeing what a great example of Preeti could be seen in the behavior of the Lord Chaitanya and his very, very intimate consorts like Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Haridas Thakur, Jagdanand Pandit, Jeep, Sut Goswami, Rup Goswami, etc. So I just want to repeat that pastime. Those who have heard, please hear again. And those who haven't, please relish this beautiful pastime. This is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Anta Lila, and the chapter, let me just, chapter 4th. Yeah. So this is an instance when Sanatan Goswami was in Mathura and he was wanting to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he comes to Jagannath Puri. He comes through the path of, it says here, when Sri Rupa Goswami returned from Jagannath Puri to Bengal, Sanatan Goswami went from Mathura to Jagannath Puri to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he went through Jharkhand forest and the water was not very clean, and the forest, because of his constant fasting, Sanatan Goswami contracted a disease which made his body very itchy, and there were sores. They're called wet sores or itching sores, from where the fluid is oozing. So he somehow makes it to Jagannath Puri and comes straight to the house of Srila Haridas Thakur. In the house of Srila Haridas Thakur, he was constantly thinking that his body is of no use. What is the point of having this body which is full of pus? It's best that I go and commit suicide on the wheels of Lord Chaitanya in the Rath Yatra. Like this he was thinking. So anyway, he comes to the house of Srila Haridas Thakur, and that's where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrives. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrives, both Haridas Thakur and Sanatan Goswami fell like a rod on the floor, offering their obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces Haridas Thakur. He also comes up to embrace Sanatan Goswami. That's where Sanatan Goswami says, "My Lord, please do not touch me. I fall at your lotus feet. I am the lowest of all men, having been born of a low caste. Besides that, I have such infections on my body." But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forcibly embraced Sanatan Goswami, and that way his moisture and itching sores were touching the transcendental body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Sanatan Goswami thought that how fallen he has, because of him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has to touch these filthy ooze coming out of his body, and he felt very uncomfortable. He thought that it's best that I leave this place because I have come here to serve the Lord. Instead of serving the Lord, I'm causing such inconvenience, disgrace to the Lord's body. It's best that I commit suicide or go away from here. Like that, he was constantly thinking. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, next day or sometime after when they met, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again happened to meet Sanatan Goswami, and he wanted to embrace Sanatan Goswami. This time, again, there was a resistance from Sanatan Goswami. And he says, "Please, my dear Lord, please do not embrace me anymore." And this way, but again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces Sanatan Goswami. And when this time he embraces, Sanatan Goswami kind of pulls himself out. And he says, "My dear Lord, your transcendental body is getting purified from my oozes. And please do not do this to yourself and to me." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he gave a very nice analogy. He said that just like a mother, when a mother is looking after the baby, and if the baby is passing stool, mother takes a lot of delight in cleaning that and taking care of the baby. For that mother, that stool is no more stool. It's just a substance that she wants to clear. Similarly, Sanatan Goswami, you and Haridas Thakur, you both are like my children. And when I touch your body, I smell this beautiful chandan, sandalwood pulp, and the mixture of that is being applied to the Lord. This is what I experience. This is what I'm smelling from your body, Sanatan Goswami. And he said that Sanatan, you are emblem of all the Shastras. You are example of devotion in this material world. Therefore, touching your body is very auspicious. So Sanatan Goswami says, I came here for my benefit, but if I see that I'm getting just the opposite, I'm unfit to render service, I must simply commit offenses. I simply committing offenses day after day. He started to feel very lowly, and he started to tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, look, I'm low-born. I am contaminated reservoir of sinful activities. If you touch me, my Lord, that is a great offense on my part. My blood is running from infected itching sores on my body, and that is smearing your body with moisture. But you are still embracing me by force. You have no aversion to my body. And Like this, the conversation goes on. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, look, yeah, he says that I am a sannyasi. I am a sannyasi, and for a sannyasi, it is not right to see anybody on the platform of body. Sannyasi is always seeing everybody on the platform of soul. And I cannot then discriminate between your body and you, because your body, I cannot discriminate on the account of your body, which is sick right now. I cannot discriminate with you. You are a soul, and therefore I'm embracing the soul. And that's how I am fulfilling Dharma. If I do not do this, then Krishna will never forgive me. So this was the conversation that happened by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Haridas Thakur was there, and he was continuously listening all these conversations. Here Lord Chaitanya is saying, listen, Haridas and Sanatan. Now I'm speaking the truth about how my mind is attached to you. And that's why he gives the analogy, like a little boy and mother. He says that the stool and urine of the child appears like a sandalwood pulp to the mother. And then, of course, he describes that how the body of a devotee is never material. And then again, after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces Sanatana Goswami. But this time, when he embraces Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when embraces Sanatana Goswami, this time, immediately Sanatana Goswami's source disappeared and his entire body resembled the color of gold. Seeing the changes, Haridas Thakur, he greatly astonished, told the Lord, my Lord, these are your pastimes. You, you made Sanatan drink the water of Jarikan, and you actually generated the consequent itching source on his body to show to the world. After the causing itching sources, you examine Sanatan, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes. That way, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is embracing both Sanatana Goswami and Haridas Thakur. So this is Priti, love, loving pastimes between the devotees and the Lord. Lord can go to any extent to express his love for his devotees, and devotees can go to any extent to express their love for the Lord. This is the beautiful relationship between the devotees and the Lord. And nobody, no ordinary being can really understand these transcendental loving affairs between the devotees and the Lord. And Krishna becomes very pleased by seeing these beautiful pastimes of devotees, by their devotion. And that's why it is being said that only devotees can understand mind of Krishna. Nobody else can understand mind of Krishna, because just by knowing Brahman Jyoti, one cannot reach to the ultimate perfectional stage of loving devotional service to the Lord. It has to be done through devotional service. If one commits suicide, he cannot learn about Krishna by doing that. Krishna is expressing in Bhagavad Gita, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dharvata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate. He's saying, always chanting my glories, and with great determination they are endeavoring, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Perpetually worship me with devotion. It is such a huge aspect of Krishna consciousness, of bhakti, that was missing in the literature of Srila Vyasadeva. And that's why he was not feeling deeply satisfied in his heart. And that's where Srila Nadadev is going to instruct Vyasadeva about writing this transcendental literature of devotional service, Srimad Bhagavatam. And by reading this literature, it is said that everything which is inauspicious in our heart, which will go away. This Bhagavatam has the power to cleanse desires for material enjoyment from the heart of a devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Hridyantas tohi abhadrani vidunoti suhit satam. So with this, I'll close the session for today. If there is any question or comment, we can take that now. And I was fortunate to meet some of you during 24 hours Birmingham Festival and at the Manor yesterday. So personally meeting you was very, very beautiful, very nice. We have been interacting on this platform, but we may not have met. So I really want to thank all the Vaishnavas here who take their time out, and every day without fail, you're able to come here and listen to this wonderful transcendental literature. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So if there is no question, no comment, that's also fine. We can close the session here. Okay. Vanchakalparubhyascha kripa
Vaishnavyo Namo Namo.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Vaishnav ki jai.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
for
for so nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare